All right, on the MMA Outsider Podcast right now, we are joined by Strikeforce lightweight Lyle Beerbohm. He has a fight coming up this weekend. He's going to be facing Pride and UFC veteran Marcus Aurelio, obviously a big name in the industry for a long time, and it's a pretty stacked fight card. It's got Kendall Grove, John Gunderson, Carl Parisi, and a lot of other big-name fighters. First off, Lyle, how's training going for this fight?
Training's going good. I'm all healthy, and I'm ready to go for this weekend.
Yeah, so as far as Marcus Aurelio goes, you and he have a little bit in common with your fighting styles. Pretty solid striking, but really good grappling as well, especially in the submission game. And how do you feel you match up there against him? Obviously, he's a well-known black belt, but I know you have confidence in your ground game too.
I think it's going to be a pretty fun fight for the fans to watch. It's going to be a good ground game. We both like to be on top. And, that's where the fight's going to be. And so it's who wants to be on top more, so.
Right. So do you figure you're going to have a wrestling advantage over him so you can kind of dictate where this fight's going to go?
Yeah, I think so. I think I'll be able to out-wrestle him or out-scramble him, put him where I need to put him. But he's definitely a tough guy. And he's fought all the top guys in the world, and, stuck around, so it's gonna be a tough and fun fight to do.
Right, and just talk about what's going on with Strikeforce. I assume you're still under contract with them, and this is kind of an in-between fight. But talk about how things have been with that promotion. I know sometimes guys with them, they like the promotion, but sometimes there aren't enough fights to go around. But what's your status with them at the moment?
Actually, I'm no longer with Strikeforce anymore. I'm a free agent, and my goal is to be in the UFC here after this fight. That's what I want to. That's what I want to do, and so we'll see what happens. And if I have to win another fight, then that's my only goal is to be in the UFC.
Right. It's interesting, obviously, I'm sure the UFC is keeping an eye on a lot of guys like yourself with really good records, fought some tough guys. Going back to your Strikeforce, stint, you had some big wins and some close fights against some really tough competition, like Pat Healy, who's really up there in the title picture right now. But I remember I interviewed you right before the Shinya Aoki fight, and I'm sure you were kind of disappointed with that one. But if you wouldn't mind looking back, talk about that fight, and do you think you were maybe just a little bit awestruck by the name guy you're fighting, or do you think you made a mistake fighting him as far as tactically?
Well, I'm pretty impatient. If I get taken down, I try to get back up, and I give up my back, and I don't ever want to lose a second of a fight, and so I'm always trying to get up, and so he took me down, and I gave up my back, and he caught my hand with his leg, and he did a really good job, and he ended up getting the choke. So, it's just a mistake by my part, and good grappling by his, and so. But if I could fight him, I'd probably do it again. I'd probably give up my back and try to get away. That's just how I fight.
Right, and I know people appreciate you're very active on the ground. It's something some of the wrestlers these days aren't as good at. But I wanted to talk to you about some of your training partners lately. Obviously, I know you have trained with Cody McKenzie, but also Michael Chiesa is a guy who just went and won the Ultimate Fighter. I was wondering, what you thought of seeing him on the show doing so well.
Yeah, Michael Chiesa, he's been with me since day one, and he's definitely showed a lot of heart on the show and a lot of talent. He's really grown as a fighter. I was really proud of him. He did really, really good, and so I'm glad he won the show. And Sam Cecilia, he also trains with me, and he did really well also. So I'm proud of both those guys.
Yeah, and actually, between obviously Sam and Michael both being in the UFC, Cody's been there for a while. How cool is it, seeing so many guys that you train with working out, also kind of having some success as well?
Yeah, well, that's great. They deserve it. They're all tough guys, and they deserve being where they need to be, where they in the UFC. So I'm really proud of them.
Yeah, so talking about this fight card, like I mentioned, you're fighting Marcus Aurelio. There's a lot of pretty big names on this card. Sometimes when you fight in an event outside of the UFC or Strikeforce, a guy like you will be up against a kind of a younger up and comer who's looking to make a name off you. But in this case, you're kind of fighting a guy who's obviously got a lot of as much if not more experience than you, a big name as well. So when you're working to claw your way back into the UFC, like you mentioned, what's the mentality? Is it any different? Do you feel hungrier, or do you kind of try to make sure you have the same preparation and same routine every time?
I get shaped. I do. I get shaped, and people can with my heart. So there's no changing. Nothing changed. I just get in the best shape I can and go up there and do what I do. Well, I broke my foot when I fought for Claiborne Walker. I broke my foot, so I had to take some time. I had to take 6 to 7 weeks off for that, and then I got a staph infection right below my eye, and so I had to take some time off for that. So just injuries and stuff like that kind of kept me away for a little bit, but I'm good to go. I'm all healthy and I'm ready to fight.
Right, and I know, for people who don't know, of course, you had some rough times earlier in your life with drug issues and some things like that, and there's actually, I think, a documentary out talking about some of the things you've gone through. I think it's called No Submission.
Yeah, there's a documentary just about my trials and tribulations, about my life, and it's really good. I tell how it is, how I used to, I used to shoot meth for 6 years, and I did a lot of icky things to a lot of good people just to get that drug, and so I tell it how it is, and it's a good documentary. We're going to finish it up as soon as I get in the UFC. That's our goal, is to get in the UFC and then release the documentary out.
Mm-hmm. And I know, obviously, you've mentioned it a couple of times, and it's everyone wants to be in the UFC at some point in the sport, especially now. But for you, having gone what you've gone through, do you think you're able to maybe keep it in better perspective as far as your MMA career? Like, if you have a setback, it's probably not the end of the world. There's probably worse things to be going through than losing a fight.
Oh yeah, for sure, definitely. I've went through some hard times. I've lived on the streets, and I've lived. Definitely I went through some hard times. So yeah, losing the fight, it sucks, but it ain't that big a deal.
Right, and as far as being on a fight card, at least obviously, like I mentioned, there's a lot of other big names on there. So, do you feel a little bit more amped up knowing that this card, I'm sure not just the UFC, but there's probably going to be a lot of fans tuning in to watch it.
Yeah, definitely. It's a stacked fight card, and there's a ton of great potential and good fighters, on it. So it'll be fun. It'll be fun for the fans. There's a lot of great matchups on ShoFight, and they did a really good job. So it'll be fun. And just one more of your teammates I want to talk about again. Cody, he's got a fight coming up against Chad Mendes, and it's going to be an interesting matchup for him. I'm sure Mendes is going to look to take him down like he does a lot of other guys. But how do you think Cody's going to match up in that fight? Since he's probably going to be the underdog. Yeah, I think it should be a pretty fun fight to watch. Cody's he's up here training with me now. He's doing his training camp up here, so he's getting in a real good shape, and it's definitely going to be a fun fight to watch for sure.
Mm-hmm. And you talked about the foot injury. I know you've been pretty much through everything in the fight game, but when you're coming off of an injury, do you feel I don't know, any nerves or any was there any rustiness at all, or do you ever feel like are you ever hesitant to use the limb that you've hurt, or do you feel pretty comfortable in there?
Yeah, I feel good. I spar hard in practice, so that gets me good and ready to get into the cage. I've already done a ton of rounds and sparring hard and sparring with a bunch of different guys, and so I'm definitely ready to get in there and go.
Mm-hmm. And finally, since there have been so many injuries in a lot of big-name fights lately, especially in the UFC, and you're coming off one yourself, I think even Dana White at one point was quoted as saying maybe guys need to take a little more easy in training and not go out there and kill each other in the gym. But for you, how do you find that right balance between, you got to get ready for a fight, you got to train hard, but you also don't want to hurt yourself?
Yeah, for me, I got to train hard because I want to be in the best shape I possibly can be. For mentally, it really helps me out if I'm sitting there training as hard as I can. And so if I get injured, then I get injured. That's just the way it goes. That's just part of the game, And so I don't want to take it easy. I want to train hard and do what I need to do, and then go from there.
Right, cool. Well, like I said, appreciate you doing the show. Any shout-outs, sponsors, or anyone you'd like to mention? Go ahead.
Yeah, sure. I just want to thank all my training partners, Cody McKenzie, Mike Hanks, Lee Morrison, Cecilia, Mike Chessel, all my guys at BJJ, Bart Smith, Jacob Harkness, Julio Diaz, Christian Nybarger, all my training partners that go up there.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to thank Iron Master. I want to thank Taxi Easy Spokane, and I want to thank Mark Gatlin. And I want to thank... and if you want to hit me up on Fancy Pants Lyle on Twitter, and then you can hit me up on Facebook also.
All right, cool. Well, like I said, I appreciate you taking the time once again. That's June 16th. ShoFight. Lyle Beerbohm is going to be fighting Pride and UFC veteran Marcus Aurelio in one of that show's feature fights, so definitely check it out if you can. Lyle, thanks again. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Right, have a good one. Bye.